So I am so excited to have Daniel Cunningham on our show. So welcome to the latest episode of Flamingo's Apartment Rebels podcast. The reason I'm so excited is because I think your company is just one of those things that every property manager should have.
Yes, let's just stop right there.
That's the show. No, it's really cool. So one of my favorite books was about like the airline industry and the checklists that were implemented and how it just completely changed both the airline industry and hospital operations in a way, which is having checklists that helps humans do their jobs better.
Yeah.
Because no person can really be an expert or remember or know everything. So what I really like about what you all do is that it allows property managers to just do their jobs better and in a way that they can't go wrong. So I think that's one of the things that's really cool about this company, because property managers have so much to do and more keeps getting added to their plate every single day. So what I love about Leonardo 24/7 is that you can probably explain it much better than I can. It allows property managers to basically see and know exactly what they need to do, check those items off, submit whatever they need to do. And then as an operator, you can see what has been completed, whether it's compliance or whether it's something else. So it's just brilliant. It's simple, but it's so brilliant.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Yeah, and so you're probably talking Atul Gawande's book, right? The Checklist Manifesto.
Yeah.
Which, early on, for sure, served as part of our guiding principle, which is, look, if doctors, if arguably the most well-educated, sophisticated kind of profession can benefit from a checklist, a simple checklist, which reduced post-surgical deaths. That's, think about what an industry like ours, which has so many moving parts by folks that aren't always, really don't have all the training available to them. And just think what it could do. And that was part of one of the guiding principles. That's interesting you picked up on.
Yeah.
But the idea is, so let me just a little bit about my background.
Yeah, so actually, let's start there. Like, how did you come into the industry? I know you used to be on the actual industry side, then you moved over to the supplier side. I kind of did. So how did you get into the industry?
I've been on a couple, there's a couple sides of the table that I sat on, actually. So really, I cut my teeth. I'm a civil engineer by education. Mm-hmm. My early part of my career was in development, but I really cut my teeth in multifamily at Aimco, where eventually I was director of asset management for Aimco. And in that capacity, when Aimco was at that time the largest multifamily REIT, the largest operator in the country, we would see on a regular basis that we had these policies and procedure binders like this thick, right? Yeah. And we'd send them out to properties, and then every month we'd send them updates. Like, here's your update. You'd replace page 12 with this new page 12. And we would go to audit the site operations, and we would see that most of the stuff wasn't really being followed. Yeah. And we would see some of the basic blocking and tackling sometimes wasn't being executed correctly. Like, people weren't raising rents really on time, or they weren't sending people to collections, the sort of things. And it was puzzling, because we would spend so much time training. Aimco had resources to really train people. But it wasn't until I started a property management company. So I've been on the asset management side. Then I started a property management company for a developer in Los Angeles. And in that capacity, I really sort of got in the trenches alongside the people that were expected to be experts in all these different things, from preventative rate maintenance and risk management and marketing and leasing. And they're part-time psychologists, sometimes they're part-time attorneys. Yeah. There's a lot. And I think the revelation was there was so much that we expected community.
And no one can remember all of that or know when to do each one.
Cannot know it all, much less remember it all, right? So the first inspiration for me was, in order to help my team, I need to really capture first steps. I need to capture everything we should be doing. Mm-hmm. So I just started interviewing vendors and other regional property managers, insurance companies, and trying to figure out, okay, what are all the daily, weekly, monthly things we need to be thinking about in order to operate these assets? And out of that came the idea, well, I'm going to write a book.
Yep.
So I wrote a book called 365 Days of Property Management. I'm like,
oh, wow. I got it.
Ticket to health and
Yeah.
fame. And what I quickly realized was rather than try to sell the book, that it formed the basis for a great piece of software whose goal was to really, based on a property's unique profile, amenities, equipment, geographic location, to be able to generate daily guidance, be the expert on behalf of the folks that are in the field who either, weren't trained, didn't have the right background, or, were new to the company and didn't know all the policies and procedures yet, what have you.
Which is so important given how high turnover can be in the industry.
And I think it's just gotten worse. I think with the great resignation we're going through right now, we're seeing that folks are turning up their nose a little bit at their current positions more often than, especially in property management, and moving on to where they're happy. It's, we have to say this. This is a very hard business. Having been in it, I can tell you and been in other industries. It's the most difficult business I've ever seen. It's the only business where if you're the best property manager in the world, the very best one, somebody is yelling at you today. Because to be a good property manager means to do difficult things. You've got to evict people that aren't paying their rent. You have to listen to somebody say they've just gotten a divorce and they can't afford, and you have to say, I'm sorry, rent's due, or your dog's the wrong breed and they can't be here, or you've got people living in your family, extended family living in your apartment that's beyond what we're allowed. Like, you have to have hard discussions with people. And so it's a hard business to be in. So if we can make it easier, if we can reduce some of the pressure of all of the things you were saying earlier, like you just have so many different things on your plate, then that's a real win for us. So what we're trying to do is shift the burden from expecting people at the property to be experts in everything, to instead Leonardo 24/7 is the expert in your policies and procedures, your company's expectations, coupled with our own library of over time, the best practice that we've assembled from meeting with insurance companies and equipment manufacturers, like what should the preventive maintenance programs be? Couple those things together to produce daily guidance so that you have at your fingertips what you need to do, when you need to do it, the right inspection, the right form, process. You have the reports going out automatically to people that need to know that it was done, or we're raising our hand if we see things that are like pool pHs that are chemistry that's above what's safe, and can we let people know about that, so that all that stuff happens in an automated fashion as much as possible, so that the people on the field can just focus on executing. And hopefully people will think of us as sort of like their right-hand man that's there to give guidance, who is a resource for, like, we have an on-demand instruction section that they can pull information from if they don't know how to do a thing or watch a video. So we really want to support the field operations while at the same time giving visibility to regional managers and executives that this stuff is happening, that people that they're in compliance, not such that they so that it's punitive, but rather
it's like, I gotcha, you haven't done it yet.
Right. It's like if there's something that's not being done, there's an opportunity for retraining, or there's a process that needs to be changed. But if everything is being done, then the regional managers and senior executives can stop checking in on the minutia, let us handle the minutia, and now you can focus on things that actually help the properties make money. Talk about leasing, talk about marketing, talk about rental rates. Stop talking about or feeling like you have to talk about the things that Leo can track on your behalf, because we got it covered.
Yeah, no, I think this is brilliant. And I think the analogy you gave, like, if physicians, like brilliant people, are expected to follow certain checklists, so if pilots are expected to follow certain checklists, like, why don't we have that for property managers who have to do just as many things, have to be aware of all the different compliance and laws, all those different things, where it's just not possible for one person or one small group to be able to remember and do all those things. So then how did you go from, I have a book, to now it's a software?
Yeah.
And it probably happened like over a day.
Yeah. We are another 10-year overnight success. We didn't raise. I didn't raise a bunch of money up front. So Leonardo has been up until recently a bootstrapped organization. And for another podcast time, we could talk about the
journey,
the decision to do that or not do that. It, in retrospect, seems to work out for us. It was painful though. I mean, the first few years were a lot about trying to tune the product, because whatever your idea is, whatever you imagine it, how it might be embraced, the actual real life experience will be different. Yeah. And so for a while we spent getting out an MVP, a minimal viable product, seeing how people use it, seeing what their reaction was to it. And the great thing that kept us going was we got a visceral reaction from some people right away. I remember
I'd be surprised. I would have thought like everyone would immediately see it. Because when I think about it, I'm like, this is going to save so much time, make things so much simpler, give visibility to everyone, get the regional off my back so they can see that from their list. From the regional's perspective, they don't have to bother people about what's been done and what's not. From the owner, they know everything is happening that should be happening. Like the value
is difficult for people though. Change is difficult. And this was something different. This was not, we really did plow the way here for this type of product within the multifamily industry. So there was a lot of sort of explaining to folks like, no, all these things that you're trying to accomplish through these binders and through your checklists and your clipboards and Excel, we can eliminate all that.
And you don't have to remember all of those things and when to do them.
Yeah. But we did have some early champions early on. I'll always be grateful to Sheila Carter, was over at Lincoln Properties, who said this is like the best thing that was ever invented. And those sort of things kept us going. So the early days, again, since we were bootstrapping, it was slow going in terms of the development. But we ended up, I think, utilizing that time to really hone in on what the product really was, and what we didn't realize immediately, which now we understand, was that it wasn't just like the checklist of things to do. There was a whole operations and maintenance platform to be built here that could bring in other processes that were being handled in a manual fashion or not at all, and make it easier. And so once we had that figured out, we launched sort of our enterprise product in 2016. We had one high net worth individual came in and invested in the company a little bit and helped us do that. But then we started expanding to manage workflows, so we'd been very proactive before, like what are the things we need to push out to you now, like what workflows can we create when you need them, only when you need them. Like if you have a water intrusion event, like what are the steps you need to go through, we can manage that, and again present to you the right form of inspection, but then also take that information and then pass it along to people that need to know about it. So then the platform grew to the point where we really like to think at this point we're the other must-have operating platform. Like you need PMS systems, but they don't really have much to say about how to operate the asset. So that's where we take over. We're that other half that says, okay, when you're not accounting for rent and you're not leasing, what's everything else you need to be doing? And hopefully our goal with some other features that are coming out will be to have finally gathered all of those things together under one roof.
Well, I absolutely love that. For me, it just seems, I keep going back to this, but it just seems like such a no-brainer for automating, driving, and making sure that things that need to happen do happen. So for you all, like what were some of the initial pushback that you get from the property managers?
I think the most common pushback you get is that this is another thing. Because property managers, as we said a couple times here so far, they already have a lot to do. So the first change management process we have to go through is first getting just people appreciate that we eliminate so much of that noise that's really taking a lot of their time right now, so much of the manual work that you're actually replacing more inefficient systems and processes with Leo, and that it will actually lessens the amount of not your responsibilities, right? You have the same level of responsibilities you had before, but it's less work to accomplish all those. So that's probably the first thing is something else we have to do. and as we were saying, change is hard for people. So one of the things we have to focus on is, why is the company adopting Leo? Everybody seems to come to us with a different main pain point they want to solve. We have, for example, the LiveCore portfolio, which is the Blackstone portfolio, and they really wanted to solve incident reports. They have 26 operators across the country, and they need to make sure they're all doing incident reports in the same way. Yeah, so they use Leo for that, and then it expanded to more of the risk management stuff. So we need to establish the company's why and make sure that is well understood by the folks in the field. I mean, outside of that, I think people do have this light bulb moment where they're like, why have we been? Where has this been all our lives?
Yeah. And then something really critical to all of this too is you mentioned you have the best practices, the templates for things that they might not already have as part of their compliance process or part of their checklist.
Yeah.
So you are able to see across the industry to say, hey, these are some best practices we found from conversations with like hundreds of people that we see that you don't already like have. So I feel like that's invaluable. Has that been something that has also been like a light bulb moment for property managers?
Yeah, for operators that have, let's say, 20 properties or less, right? And I'm not want to call it mom and pop operators. Those are pretty similar. But they often don't have this level of middle management that, like directors of risk management or directors of maintenance, these people that oftentimes serve as these subject matter experts within the organizations. And so they haven't had time or the wherewithal to develop these.
Yeah.
I think I have seen, it's really been a godsend for operators like that. And that is...
I cannot imagine.
Yeah, we can just on it tomorrow.
It's like turning a switch and now you have your compliance process.
They can start.
Yeah.
And we get people up and running that fast. You complete a profile of your property, what amenities and equipment you have, and it just starts generating the daily guidance for you. And when we started the company, that's who I thought we would be servicing first. I didn't honestly expect to see the same level of interest from our large operators like Greystar and Bozzuto and FPI, some of our larger clients. It's wonderful to see them embrace it. I think what we've seen is that when you have that kind of scale, lightning strikes more often than it does when you just have a smaller portfolio. Yeah. So they have seen more. They've seen worse things happen than sometimes smaller operators have. And so they're more keenly aware as a corporate entity that they need to solve these problems. But I truly believe that we actually offer more value to the smaller operators who can instantly benefit from the best practices that we've developed over time by the way, in the process of seeing how the rest of the industry is operating. I mean, everything people share with us is confidential, but it doesn't mean that we don't understand, hey, snow removal logs are important. Like we need to create a snow removal log. Or incident reports were not actually something that we ever considered implementing, but it became something they were using Leo for.
No, it's like AI. Like it gets better the more you feed into it, and the better it gets. So it's like that really virtuous cycle, and you can now feed that to everyone. And just like literally make the industry much, much better.
Yeah, and that was, when we so we have a partnership with Click and Comply. We are Click
What's
and
Click and Comply?
We have a partnership with NAA.
Yeah.
They white labeled the product as Click and Comply. And, part of our goal and our ongoing goal with the NAA is, since they set the standard for many things, is maybe through Click and Comply, can we create an industry standard where, as you were saying, like, hey, if you want guidance on how to operate your property, here's a Click and Comply product through NAA that has the benefit of all of the education and the courses and the white papers that NAA generates, so that this is more or less kind of the accepted way of doing things. And then customize it from there if you need to. That's sort of the big, hairy, audacious goal with that.
Yeah. No, love that. And then in terms of data, I imagine that's one thing. Everyone talks about data this. But I imagine for you all, you have probably found some really amazing insights, whether it's how different property management companies, how compliant they are, or how often the site teams are able to actually complete the different tasks or everything else. Like what have been some of the real insights you found?
Well, we're going to publish a white paper. We're working right now at the university, and we're working on a white paper at the moment that's gonna share some of those. But for example, it's not really well known what the ROI of preventive maintenance is.
Oh, wow.
Everybody agrees that we should do it.
Yeah.
But it's not well known. For every dollar you spend in preventive maintenance, what can you expect in reduction in operating costs, in unplanned capital expenditures, and that sort of thing. And we're able to see that because we have this unique view into the behavior of what's happening at the property level. And so we can now, we're correlating that with the expenses and historic property expenses to draw some conclusions about things like that. And hopefully that white paper will come out in Q1.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely look forward to that because I cannot imagine the insights that you would have gleaned from these many years and these many properties.
Yes, there's similar data to be gleaned about risk. What reduces risk at a property? What are the important behaviors that you expect to see if you want to be a better risk for insurance carriers, which is become more and more important as that hardening market has been driving insurance rates up by 20, 40% or more for a lot of operators. So being able to reduce risk right now is on people's minds in a way that really wasn't in the last 5 years.
Yeah. And then in terms of your product roadmap, like what's next for Leonardo 24/7?
More stuff to eliminate multiple processes. Right now, for example, in our application, there are a number of things that maybe need to be done by vendors. For example, boiler inspections, right? Those are very common to see those flow through Leo, the monthly, quarterly, annual boiler inspections, right? But oftentimes, and actually probably most of the time, that's performed by a third-party vendor. So giving vendors access to Leo so that we can start allowing the vendors that do some of the work to participate in Leo, but also capture the information that they're recording as part of the property information. We had a property in downtown LA that was an older adaptive reuse property, and one day, and sort of really old elevator system. And one day, somebody went to step into the elevator wasn't there.
Oh,
and
Jesus!
Yeah, so that was bad.
It's really bad.
And as part of the investigation, we asked to get the records from the elevator company of when they had done the last inspection and sort of thing, and they didn't have it. Surprisingly.
Oh, wow!
Or didn't have access to them, or were unwilling to give them. No one will ever know. But if we launched something like this, all those records would be kept within Leo and would live with the property. So that sort of thing, that sort of application is what we're looking to do. Anything else that's still out there that we haven't gathered in that is happening at the property, if it happens at the property, we want it to happen.
Nice. Oh, wow. Then looking at the industry as a whole, if you could snap your fingers and instantly solve one problem in the industry, what would that be?
Well, labor.
In what sense?
In that we're going to have a shortage of people, I think, that are interested in getting into the industry. We have problems, especially with smaller operators. It didn't have to be a problem I was going to solve, right?
Oh, no, it doesn't have to be one that you get to solve.
I'm not sure I can solve all this. I can help, but I can't. I think we smaller operators, property management companies operate on such thin margins. I mean, it's shameful actually what some third-party owners expect their property management companies to work for. That's why owner operators, at least they enjoy the benefits of the cash flow to their bottom line. But if you're doing third-party property management,
it's thin.
It's very thin, and so the resources you have to train people and retain people and create great culture is limited. And so we struggle as an industry to find, attract, retain great people that are doing great work. And I think that's just getting worse. I think as we come out of COVID and people are now opening their eyes to other options they have in the world to work, we need to be a more attractive industry for people. And I don't know what the fast solution is there, but I know this, and this is the plug for Leo, is that
you guys are solving part of that.
With Leo onsite, employees ought to have a better experience working for a company because their expectations are clear. You can use Leo as a great way to reward people. They're doing a great job. I mean, if you've been in property management, you've never had an owner say to you, why do we have so many people on site? Like, why do we need 3 maintenance guys? Can't we get by with 2? Like, then you're lucky. With Leo, you can present to owners and investors like all the great work that you're doing. And that should feel really good to the people on site that they're accomplishing all that. And most of that just goes unnoticed right now. So that's our industry's biggest issue, I think, right now is the labor issue.
Oh, wow. No, I love that. And like I said, I think you guys are solving part of that. Whether it's, like you said, having more visibility into all of the things that the site teams are doing, or making it easier to train, because your platform can act as a training tool for new people in the industry. Like, hey, here are all the things you need to be aware of, here are all the things you need to do. And then, like you said as well, creates a much, much better experience for the site teams.
Yeah. When you do have turnover, because it's inevitable, Leo should allow you to get people up and running
very quickly.
Because everything that was done is recorded. The next thing that needs to be done is right there for them.
I love it. So Daniel, thank you so much for being on the show. This was awesome, and I'm so glad I was able to learn more about what you all are doing.
Thank you.